What's up, guys? We are back with another video. Today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be sort of comparing and contrasting Amazon FBA and Amazon KDP, just to sort of give you guys an idea. I think it's a common question that people always get. A lot of people have heard of Amazon FBA, not as many people have heard about KDP, so the question often arises, what is the difference between the two? What are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? So we're going to kind of go over all of those things in this video.
And also, guys, so we have tried both Amazon FBA and Amazon KDP. We did try FBA before we came across KDP, which is now what we do full time. FBA, for whatever reason, didn't work out for us, but we know that it is a business model which does work for a lot of people. But yeah, as I said, for us, it didn't work. But KDP has turned into our full-time income, if you didn't already know.
And that's also something that's important to note. We are big advocates for just finding something that you align with when it comes to the sort of side hustle online business world, because everybody has different skills, everybody has different circumstances, different backgrounds. So it's important to find something that you align with and that works for you, because people will, will have an affinity for one thing more than they might have for another, just based on those different factors. So yeah.
And probably a little bit of context as well. We probably are a little bit biased towards Amazon KDP, just because we think it's a really, really good business model. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get on into FBA versus KDP. So first of all, what is Amazon FBA? So Amazon FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. Essentially, it is Amazon's process of allowing you to sell physical products on their platform. They provide the storage, the packaging, and then the shipping to customers. There's a couple of ways you can go about actually selling your products on Amazon. So you can either, there's three kind of main ways. You can either create your own product completely. Obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and you do a lot of market research in order to actually find what kind of product or what kind of new product you want to be selling on Amazon. There's private labeling, which, to be honest with you, is something which I wouldn't really recommend doing anymore. Essentially, when you take an existing product and you put your own branding, own label on it. And then finally, the most common way of doing FBA is wholesale selling. This is commonly when you source your products, usually from China, on a website called Alibaba, which a lot of people have heard of. And then you can ship it to Amazon, and then you store them in Amazon's warehouse. When someone clicks buy on your product, Amazon then deals with the shipping to your customers. So you don't have to deal with any of that, which is actually pretty good, to be honest with you, because you don't want to have to be creating your own products or wholesaling your products and then shipping them out every single time you have a sale. Yeah. Obviously, there is a cost that comes with doing FBA. It's 15%, so every sale that you make, Amazon takes 15% of that. And then you also have to factor in as well the cost of your product as well. So your product would have a cost that you buy from, let's say, your wholesaler, and then you will sell it. And then also Amazon will take that 15%. So there's quite a lot of costs involved with FBA. But that's kind of a general overview as to what Amazon FBA is.
All right, cool. So that brings us into what Amazon KDP is. So KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. So this is basically just their native platform for allowing people to publish their own books. So you can self-publish ebooks, paperbacks, and hardback books.
And also audiobooks.
Yes, and also audiobooks. So that is a separate step that does have to be taken later via Audible. However, it is possible, and they all will end up listed on Amazon as well. So really, you get 4 different types of products out of your single book. And basically, you create the book yourself, and then you will have to obviously get a book cover created as well. You can take both of these things, the manuscript and the cover, to Amazon, upload them, enter all the details basically, and then once it's uploaded, it can take 72 hours or something like that for it to go live. But then Amazon takes 40% of the sale. So
it sounds like the percentage cut is actually more than FBA, but it's actually not, because it's actually free to upload your book to Amazon. So there's no real cost in actually producing the book, aside from the fact you might need to get it written, a ghostwriter cost, a book cover cost. There's not that much cost associated with Amazon KDP compared to buying a physical product, for example.
Yeah, and also I guess the difference as well, one of the differences, this might be in the slides later already, but one of the differences that with Amazon KDP, you're not having to buy a bunch of stuff up front and then send it off to the warehouse. All you have to do is upload the digital files, and they do everything for you. So it's even slightly more hands-off than Amazon FBA's, because you're not having to do all that up front.
So first of all, what are the Amazon FBA advantages then? So most obviously is probably the huge customer base that Amazon has. I think it almost has 40 million or 45 million customers now. So it has the market. That's where the customers are shopping, basically. If you think about any time you want to buy a product online, you're probably going to start. Well, you definitely do this.
Yeah, definitely always go to Amazon first.
Probably going to start with Amazon. It has the most competitive rates, and it's just where everything, all the products that you can possibly imagine.
And Prime shipping as well.
And Prime shipping as well, yeah. So there's lots of reasons why you'd go to Amazon. So because their market's there, that's why Amazon FBA is really, really good, because it's an easy place to actually sell your product. You can get your product out to sell, and we found this when we did it. Relatively quick time. Yes, you need to do your market research. Yes, you need to contact your wholesaler, but you can roughly, if you at a push, get it out between 6 to 8 weeks, maybe sometimes up to 12 weeks. So not that long before you can actually get your product out to sale. There's a really large scope for potential income. Unfortunately, we never got there, so we couldn't get a large income from it. But you do hear of some people making an absolute ton of money. If they come up with a really, really good, innovative product, you can make some serious money on Amazon FBA. And finally, once your product is ranking well, it has plenty of reviews, for example, then it becomes fairly minimal maintenance. Obviously, there's a lot of work to be done initially to get your product out there. But once you have got it out and have got it selling and ranking well, then it does become fairly minimal maintenance. Again, we never got to this stage, but obviously it is possible, because so many people are doing very, very well with it. And then the more you do it, the kind of more passive then it becomes, or can become.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
So some disadvantages, kind of, as I already talked about, is there's higher startup costs, because you were having to obviously, buy all these things up front. So whatever product it is that you're paying for or wanting to sell, you're going to have to put all of your money into that first. And then they might not necessarily even sell afterwards. So there's higher startup costs, and also just because of that higher risk, and that you might not make that money back.
Because we had that problem, didn't we? So we bought a lot of product in, and then we couldn't sell it. So we kind of had just dead product just kind of sitting there. So that's what happened to us.
You're also going to have to master other types of marketing strategies. So often with FBA, you'll have to do other things as well, such as Facebook ads, Google, blogging, YouTube. So with KDP, it's a bit more simple than that. So FBA has that disadvantage in that there seems to be like a bit more effort in terms of the marketing that has to be done. And also there's more logistics involved. So this kind of just goes into what we were already talking about, and the fact that you have to, you have to find these retailers and wholesalers, or whichever route you end up going down, but you have to be the one to source the product first, make sure that it's all branded properly, make sure that you have enough, and then be able to send it into Amazon. So just a bit more complicated in that sense.
Yep. Okay, so now onto the Amazon KDP advantages. I did tell you about us because we have got a lot more KDP advantages, but that's because it works well for us.
We also have more experience, I guess.
We have
KDP,
a lot more,
because that was the one that worked for us, and we ended up doing it long term, obviously. But
yes. So first of all, super easy and beginner friendly, even for someone with no online earning experience. We had a little bit of online experience when we first started, but for a few of our students who have, who we've been coaching, they have no online experience at all and already doing pretty well with it within the kind of the first 6 months of actually starting. The reason it's beginner friendly is because, well, to our the way we publish, we just have 6 simple steps that we follow. And the more you do them, the easier they become. And it's just kind of rinse and repeat those 6 steps, basically. It's a very low barrier to entry, especially now that we can use ChatGPT, which is a bit of a controversial subject, but we can now use it to write a full-length book for us. It's got to be done in a very, very specific way, but that has lowered the barrier to entry. You can now start a very, very successful publishing business for no more than $500, which, to be honest with you, is an absolute bargain to start a whole online business with. It's a fairly quick way to make money, kind of similar to FBA, where you can probably get your book out within 2 to 3 months, which is a lot quicker than a lot of other businesses. Imagine if you start a brick and mortar business, how long that would take. Months and then maybe even years before you're actually turning into the profit. So also there's minimal maintenance when your book's actually out and established. Again, similar to FBA, there is work, and we shouldn't shy away from that. To be done initially to actually get your book produced, first of all, to do the good keyword research to make sure you find a profitable book, then to get your book produced, then to get it on Amazon, and then to get it established on Amazon. But once that is done, then you can really take a backseat, and it does become fairly passive from that moment onwards. Minimal time investment. Okay, so 1 to 2 hours per day is a good starting level when you're first starting out. When we first started, we were working full-time jobs. I was working as a physio. You were working in retail, and we didn't have much time to commit to it, really. So 1 to 2 hours a day is what we committed to it, and that's more than enough to actually get your book out. And the longer you do it for, the less time you're going to have to commit to it. It's a reliable and consistent income for years after your book's been published. And this is very true for us and a lot of other people as well. So when we first started, which was probably about 4 years ago now, those first 3 books that we published are still 3 of our bestsellers even today. That's because we did everything right. The advertising,
took our time to make it quality.
Yeah, exactly. We got really high quality books, and we do envisage them to be selling for many years to come, just because they've established themselves in Amazon, and Amazon likes promoting them, push them out for us. You don't have to write books yourself, and that is a really key one. And it's something which I think puts a lot of people off when they're first starting Amazon KDP. They think you have to write your own books. You really, really, really don't.
Yeah. Unless you want to when you're a good
Of
writer,
course,
but
yeah,
you definitely
that's
don't
true.
have to.
You don't have to at all, because I can imagine myself writing my own book, because it would just be terrible. So you can either go down the ghostwriting route, where you hire someone to write your book for you, a professional ghostwriter, after you create your outline. Or, as I said at the beginning, you can now use ChatGPT in a very specific way, a step-by-step method, basically, and then you edit it, what ChatGPT gives you. And you can come up with some amazing books. Like, to be honest with you, I would say the books, because we now use AI for all of our books, I would say our pre-AI to our post-AI, I think our post-AI books get more and better reviews than our pre-AI ones, which is kind of good, I guess. I
think part of the reason for that as well. So when you send it off to a ghostwriter, you obviously are giving them an outline, but you're not necessarily going to be certain that you're going to get back the exact book that you want. So you're sending it off to them, and they're obviously not that the quality is bad, but maybe they obviously have like a different thought process than you would when they're writing your book for you. And obviously a big part of that is communication. But with ChatGPT, you have completely free reign over that. So you're the one who's actually like prompting every single question, so you can get exactly what you want into the book. And then obviously you have to do all the editing and stuff. But point being just that from a content standpoint, you can ask it for exactly what you want out of the book. Whereas with a ghostwriter, obviously you're telling them to give them the outline, but it's a bit of a different, you have just more control over it with ChatGPT.
Yeah, totally. And then just finally, something that's really, really important, and I'd probably say 95% of people who self-publish books on Amazon don't even know, you can actually change your book or get it converted into an audiobook and get it selling on Audible, which is the largest audiobook provider platform in the world. And there's a massive market over there. It's a growing market, and there's such low competition on there, even compared to KDP. That's an absolute no-brainer to do that as well. So yeah, I know there's a lot of advantages, but we honestly do believe it's such a good business. So there's the advantages for KDP, and now the disadvantages.
Cool, yeah. So just a few disadvantages. So there's increasing competition in some areas of KDP. So more specifically, we mean low content publishing. So these are going to be like your notebooks, planners, journals, books that are like literally low to no content that are super, super easy to put together. And the reason that the competition is increasing there is just because of how easy they are to put together. Because a lot of people realize, I can literally just throw a notebook together and throw it on Amazon. However, the thing is with that, you can't ever really just put a book out on Amazon and hope that it sells, even if it's a notebook or a journal. But point being that because it's so easy to do, there are a lot more people who are trying to sort of get in on it.
And I was just say as well, overall on KDP, there are more people now doing it. But to be honest with you, the relative competition is about the same when we started, because the demand for books on Amazon is increasing pretty much every year. And Amazon's monopoly on books, I was reading some stats the other day, I can't actually quite remember them off the top of my head, but it's increased quite a bit over the last several years. I think it went from something like 30% a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and now it's almost like 70% of overall. I think that's right. Overall books are actually now bought on, paperback books are bought on Amazon. So its relative competition is about the same.
Yeah. So secondly, it's challenging to scale to over $20,000 a month. So obviously, every book that you put out is going to stack on top of the last, but it's going to be more difficult to get to over that sort of $20,000 per month mark, just because every single book that you put out obviously is going to make a certain amount, and some are going to make more than others. But to get to that point, you're going to obviously have to put out a lot of good quality books. So it is possible, but it just will obviously take time and effort. It's not like you're going to be able to just suddenly start earning $20,000 a month, in your first couple months. That's probably not going to happen. Anything's possible, I guess, but it's probably unlikely, I guess, that you're going to hit that high of a mark. quickly. So not that it's possible, but it's just going to take not that it's impossible, but just that it's going to take time and money, and you should expect that it's going to take that sort of longer scale to actually get to that point. And then poor KDP customer support. So this is something that really grinds our gears. They are honestly, Amazon is like, they have the most amazing customer support for actual customers, but for sellers, like for KDP sellers, their support in that sense is horrible. So anytime you have to contact them, you pretty much can only contact them via like a chat, and sometimes you can call them for certain issues, but it always seems to be the more pressing issues that you can't get a hold of them for. Like for example, when you are trying to contact them about ads, it kind of changes, which is also kind of annoying. Sometimes they'll have a phone number you can call, and sometimes they won't, or it's not a phone number, but it's basically like you fill out the form and it's like, we'll call you back. But they sometimes have that on their website and sometimes don't. We're not sure why this is. Maybe it's like a regional thing, and it just kind of depends on, I don't know, whether they have the sort of capacity to take phone calls, I guess. But the point is, they're just really hard to get a hold of sometimes, and they can be a real pain in the butt to actually get your problem solved. And they tend to have a lot of copy and paste email replies that they aren't even actually reading the email you're sending them. So there's just it can be kind of annoying in that sense. I mean, hopefully you won't really necessarily have to contact them that often, but they can be a pain to contact when you need to. And then lastly, you might not have a passion about what you're actually writing about. So this is something that we always sort of encourage our students to choose a topic that you're passionate about, because that makes everything easier. If you're actually passionate about the topic, it makes it easier to, actually create the book, to market the book. Just everything about it becomes easier because you actually care about it. Whereas if you don't care about the books you're writing, which sometimes you might not, because if you are doing this to make money, you might end up finding a book topic that it seems like a really great niche to get into, but you're like, oh, I'm not really that passionate about it, then it can be a bit harder to, actually stick with it in the long term. But again, something that isn't necessarily impossible, but just can make it more difficult.
So, which one is best for you then? So that's a question. Well, it's a question that I guess people ask us, which is the best one to start. As we kind of prefaced at the beginning, we are a little bit biased. So we do, on the whole, think Amazon KDP is a more reliable business model to get started with as a beginner, just because there's less competition and all the advantages that we kind of stated. Obviously, for some people watching this video, Amazon FBA quite rightly will be the best one to start with if you have a product in mind that you think is not on the market and it could do really well on Amazon FBA, then sure, that would be obviously the best route to go down. But for most people who are just trying to earn a bit of extra income on the side and hopefully scale it up to a full-time income, then KDP is probably the best route to go down. Yeah. But yeah, I hope that was helpful, guys, to go through that. As I said, it is a question that we get asked all the time. So hopefully we broke that down okay for you.
So as we say, we always promote that you should choose whichever business model resonates best with you. And if you're someone who feels like you really resonate with Amazon KDP and you want to know more about it, then we do have the opportunity where you can sort of talk to us about it a bit more. We can give you a bit more information about that. And also we have a program as well where we coach people. So if that's something you're interested in, you can always book in a call with us. The link will be below in the description. But other than that, we hope this was helpful, guys, and we'll see you soon in the next video.
See you in the next video.